Welcome to another Age of Grogu, and I go with me Elijah and Max. I was about to say Tony. What? Tony Rambo Chance. That's cool. Oh, you got a bit of a lag there, Elijah. All good. Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh, lag?
Yeah.
Am I lagging?
No, you're good now. That's cool. How's everything been? What you been up to?
Good. I've been. What was I watching? I watched the new. I started. Oh my gosh, the Max. The going blank on the Last of Us.
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
started
Oh
watching
yeah, I
I
that.
just
haven't
watched the
seen
Season two.
any of
new.
season 2 yet. I've been too busy, so I haven't had the
Yeah, I
chance to
think
check.
there's
But
one
so
episode,
no
maybe two
spoilers.
episodes now. I need to watch the second
Uh huh.
episode. No,
Right.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that's what I was watching, and I just
Okay,
watched
that's
all
cool.
of the Light and Magic season
How is it?
2. 3 episodes. I think it's 3 episodes.
Okay.
Um, but good. I mean, they kind of picked it up where they left off. I mean, they
Right.
picked up with, like the digital stuff. And they kind
Yeah.
of really go into focusing on the movies in these
Right.
episodes. They just they talk about working on episode 2. They talk about
Mm-hmm.
working on certain things. So like, it's it's interesting. It's more like a
Right.
behind the scenes on some of these movies versus
Okay.
like as much as they covered in the last season. But it
Right.
was still very good. It was directed by Joe Johnston. Yeah. So he did
Yeah. Yeah. I
all
saw that.
episodes.
They actually had a panel at Celebration, specifically some of the ILM guys there, and they were talking about it, and they revealed, that it literally dropped that weekend. So it's kind of like cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to kind of catch up and watch it. Yeah. Max, what have you been up to? What you been watching?
I've been sick this week, but I've been
Ugh.
home. I started Interior Chinatown, which is on
Okay.
Hulu, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I just watched the new episode of Last of Us, which is
Okay.
the second
No.
episode's
No.
absolutely
Episode 2.
incredible. No
Okay. No
Okay.
spoilers.
Okay.
spoilers. Yep.
Y'all
Did
got
that
to
just
see
get
the
released
second
today or
episode.
yesterday?
It just came out.
Episode
Just came
2
out
today.
Yeah, it just came out like an
today.
hour ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably
Yeah.
watch it after this.
Yeah. I'll catch it soon enough. I've just been very busy on for work the last 2 weeks. So between that and really just trying to between working the day and up until like 2 a.m. in the morning, I've been trying to follow along with Star Wars Celebration for 2025, which was in Japan. There was a lot of stuff that was going on there. I mean, there always seems to be. And when I went to it here in Celebration in 22, it was just it was something to see. There was something to do all the time. Even if you couldn't get into the big panels, there was so much to be done. But it was really great. They had a lot of stuff they did telecast over live from the main stage and all that sort of stuff, which was great. But they started off. It was a 3-day event. Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni opened up the event, talking about stuff that they had coming out. Some of the stuff they were referring to, Mangold is still fully you know in the go ahead of the film that's ongoing development. Shari, I can't pronounce that person's name, but Taika Waititi and a new Simon Krimberg trilogy are ongoing developments, basically.
Why are they giving Simon Kinberg more work?
I don't
Didn't that
know.
his last wasn't his last trilogy the X-Men stuff?
Hey, Anchorman. What's that? Uh,
Wasn't his last
Possibly.
trilogy the X-Men stuff that went horribly wrong?
Well, yeah. I don't
I
know. Again, they do say that they are ongoing developments, so that doesn't mean anything. But the one big announcement that they actually made at the beginning of everything was that Ryan Gosling is going to be in a film directed by Sean Levy, which has been kind of rumored up until officially now called Star Wars Starfighter, which is basically, and they had Ryan Gosling there, they had Levy there, and yeah, this
Was Eugene
film,
Levy there?
huh? No, no,
Nothing.
but
I'm
yeah,
kidding.
yeah, I know. But yeah, it's the new Star Wars film that's coming out. It's kind of a standalone adventure.
Did
It
they
takes
this? I mean, did they give any information? I mean, I saw this online, obviously, but I
yeah.
didn't look into it. But what's his
Well,
character, and like, do they give any like
they didn't give anything.
description?
They literally were tight-lipped about everything. They're going into production, I believe, later this year or early next year. The film shoots and comes out in 2027. So it's like the second slate after Mandalorian and Grogu at this point in time. But yeah, standalone film takes place a few years after the events of Rise of Skywalker. So it seems that Disney are trying to push for post episode 9 kind of movies, which I'm kind of fine with. But
I think
what are your
at
thoughts?
this point I preferred just. I mean, at this point, I prefer just standalone Star Wars
Hmm.
universe movies, like
Yeah,
characters in the Star Wars
right.
world,
Yeah.
more to them. Like, stop. They messed
Uh
up too
huh.
many times trying to like sell one coherent storyline between 9 movies. Too many people, too many hands in the pot. Um, Confused storylines. So
Right. Yeah.
if they keep them shorter and they're like single movies or like
Hmm.
a two-part something, you know, that seems a little bit more reasonable than trying to do like a whole saga or a whole. They built the world. Let's just live in this world and like
Right.
It
have
seems
all
like they
different types of
announced a
movies,
mix of
basically.
both. It seems like they're doing some
Right.
sagas, like they're
Yeah.
doing Simon Kinberg saga, which will be a 3 movie thing, and then some
Yeah.
solo movies. But
I'm
also, we
fine
know
with
the race
both.
stuff probably
Yeah.
is going to be
Yeah.
more than a trilogy. It
Yeah.
seems that's going to be their idea of this is our MCU of Star Wars. This is going to be our
Sure. Yeah.
expanded world
Yeah.
of what they're trying to do with that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big plan. We'll see how much of it actually comes to fruition and what comes out. I mean, I'm always hesitant because a lot
Yeah.
of projects seem to get false starts in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
this one seems to be like the fact they've got a relatively big name actor on board now with Ryan Gosling on this film. It feels like they're in a good push to go forward. I'm going to assume
yeah,
they'll be
that
shooting
that
everything.
one I believe in more than any of the other
Yeah.
ones, just
Yeah.
because Sean Levy has some good momentum off of Deadpool, and
Hmm.
Ryan Gosling has just been kind of a fan favorite from a lot of movies, especially
Yeah.
since Barbie.
Oh yeah.
So I think that movie is the biggest shot of coming out.
Yeah.
Simon Kinberg stuff, that stuff. I think a second trilogy besides the Ray stuff,
Right.
it seems unlikely unless it's related to it.
Right. Right. Um, Celebration of it. Yes, it ended last night. Hey, how's it
We are now
going?
forbidden from celebrating Star Wars.
Do you guys believe? Do you all believe it? Do you have faith in Kathleen Kennedy? I feel like I have faith in producer Kathleen Kennedy. I feel like errors and trials were made as the head of
People
Lucasfilm.
forget her
But if
track
she
record.
steps down, she is going to step down, and well, she's stepping down to have somebody else take over that position. But she's going to continually tie in as as an executive producer, which I do have better faith in. I think she was pulled in too many places at the same time to keep a lock on things in some cases. But I've always had faith in her because I've always enjoyed the movies that she has produced throughout her career. It just so happens I feel like there's a lot of Disney influence that gets in the way of things as well. And none of us are there in that position to be running things, so we don't know the true goings on of what she does have to deal with. So
Well,
as
these
I said,
bigger movies now, like if it's being run by a studio, and there's too
yeah.
many people to be calling
Oh,
Yeah.
decisions.
sure. Yeah,
That's how these
it
movies.
gets very
That's how these
complicated
movies
in the
get
film
messed up.
world.
If
Yes.
they need
Yeah.
to give the freedom to like a core people, like a
Hmm.
director and editor, and like that's one producer, they can't have like
Yeah.
they can't please everyone, like
Yeah.
especially in a corporate thing like that where like everyone's
Yeah.
trying to throw in their 2 cents. It just
Yeah.
muddles the film and makes it like everybody wants to get their little tiny piece in, so
Yeah.
it makes the movies just a mush.
It can, yeah, it can happen definitely that way. It could also go the reverse too. It can actually turn out for the better, depending on, again, it depends on
I
a lot
can't
of
think of any
factors.
major movies that have that much studio,
Yeah.
um, to keep up with, and whatever. It's like
Oh yeah.
the good movies
Totally.
are usually
Yeah.
you know controlled by a director, or that are like making like clear choices.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
I'm
don't
curious to see what happens with these new set of films because we are going into uncharted water from here
It's
on in, kind of
I just
thing.
wanted to say before we get off of this is
Mm.
that I've been talking about. Remember for a year, like a year ago, when they
Yeah.
announced that poster of all the different eras, and they had that one at the bottom, like the Dawn of the Jedi, the New Jedi Order,
Hmm.
and I was asking questions about that for like a year. I
Yeah.
even asked questions to Charles Soule, who works at Lucasfilm, and he could not give me any answers about that. He was very tight-lipped about it.
Uh huh. Yeah.
And then they basically announced it this weekend with the Ray stuff, and because people don't like Ray, still
Hmm.
no one's talking about it. And that's like the
Yeah.
next phase of Star Wars. And I'm just sitting here
Right.
wondering, like, why do we not have like any solid answers, and why isn't anyone talking about that still?
Yeah.
So what's
No,
the
it makes
full? You
sense.
have the full list of like every show that they're like the new lineup.
No, you
I
don't have the
didn't,
full
like I
list, but
said, I didn't watch
they've
it.
announced
Well,
a new era basically,
yeah.
and that should be a huge deal. But they announced it like a year ago
Yeah.
that there is a new
Where's
era,
this
a
one?
defined era that exists.
Yeah.
That
This.
now they're
That's the
calling the
list.
dawn of the new Jedi era.
Yeah.
Um,
So this is the list right here. This is the list that we've got: Dawn of the Jedi, the New Jedi
the
Order.
new Jedi Order.
Uh,
That's what they
um,
called the
yeah.
era.
Yeah.
I asked Charles Soule about that a while ago.
Mhm.
I'd be interested to see if he's working on that at all or not.
Yeah. Either way, I mean,
Wait a minute,
Lucas.
can you put that back up?
Yeah, sure.
Can you put that back up? Taika Waititi is still in a movie. Still okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
wait a
still
minute,
it's
trilogy.
Still
moving.
in
It is
development.
moving
His
forward
wasn't
Dawn of
again.
killed
Jedi,
yet.
is that a
Yeah,
trilogy? And the
that
New Jedi
is
Order,
no.
that's a trilogy.
The Dawn of the
But he's
Jedi
it's a
is
movie.
James Mangold's standalone movie. That's the one that takes place
Okay.
25,000 years in the past. The New Jedi Order is going to be whatever the trilogy will be with Daisy Ridley
It's
coming
not going to be
up.
a trilogy. That's going to be the like
They'll
pentagy,
make it
Single
a
movie.
trilogy.
trilogy.
They'll make it a trilogy. Things can change. That's been on again, off again with the writers, and they've changed scripts like 5 times, I believe. Anyway, again, the ins and outs of trying to find something they want to get done right. We'll see how that all plays out. Sean Levy's Untitled
What a trip! I
movie
mean,
is
now
a
that I see
single
it,
one-off story. Yeah, yeah,
it's just. I mean, now that I see this list and I'm hearing you talking about it, it's
right.
just a trip thinking back to the original 3 movies, and
Oh, sure.
it's become all of this. I mean, it's kind
Hmm.
of insane.
I think
It is.
a part of me always thinks it like because I grew up with the Clone Wars
Yeah,
as like the new trilogy. Like when I was like six or no, it was four in 1999 when it came out. So
right. Wow.
it was
Yeah,
just kind of like that's always been established, but it always felt like
yeah,
George Lucas always kind of envisioned Star Wars world to kind of be like this in a way.
yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
if he
yeah.
necessarily envisioned other movies, but he at first already commissioned other novels and
Hmm.
comic books for
Yeah, yeah,
years
yeah.
between and after. I
Yeah.
think this is the next step of financial milking of the property,
Oh, of course. Yeah,
which is
I
always his
mean,
idea. He always
obviously,
wanted
they're
an IP that makes money.
right,
yeah.
right.
Well,
But this does seem better. I mean,
yeah,
these single standalone movies in the world of Star Wars
yeah.
in the Star Wars universe makes more sense than doing long trilogies.
Yeah, it's also. I
It's
mean,
a lot
it's
more to get
evident as
invested in.
yeah. It's also evident as well that the TV verse is expensive to do, and I don't feel that it is as. I'm trying to. I don't understand how it's profitable
I've been
for
saying
TV
that.
shows of that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
Big budget corporate streaming, these shows cost
yeah,
like for these prestige dramas and action shows, it's like
right.
$100 million episodes. Like by the time these seasons are done, they spent like $500 million on
Yes.
these
Yeah.
shows. And then it's subscribers. It's not even people are like paying for a ticket for it. It's just they
Right.
people pay $12 a month
Yeah.
for everything. That's gotta
And
encompass
And
all
it
of those
also, you've got
shows.
to consider the fact that it worked because at the same time the streaming service came out, COVID hit, and it was perfect for them to do TV shows
Right.
and bring in, more audience that way because they were
Now people
doing
got
nothing but sitting
picky.
on the couch. And yeah, now that it's kind of people are back and around and out in the real world and everything like that, things are just obviously hitting them and going, we are not making the money. I'm going to assume this, we've got Ahsoka season 2 at this point is still slated as the last live action TV show at this point in time. It's not to say they're not going to actually do more, but Ahsoka season 2 is basically it. It's going to end its story. Then they're going to do one more movie in the Mandoverse universe, and then we are going to start picking up stories that are going to move on into this new post Ray, post Rise of Skywalker universe. And I think that's going to be exciting because it is unexplored territory. They can experiment with these one-off stories that don't necessarily tie to anyone specific in that universe. And then they can continue doing Rey-based stories or Jedi stories or trilogies or whatever they want to do. So I think it's very exciting to see that they're now trying to get to where they wanted to go with the with the sequels at least, and give us other stories post Empire, I guess is the word. The trick there, of course, is how do you create a adversary that's as powerful and as strong as developed as what the Empire was from the prequel era when
might have an
Palpatine
episode
created
about
the Empire.
someone battling his landlord. The last Starfighter, he could be like, could be dodging payments on his ship. From his, like, you haven't made your last payment on that. Get back here.
Yeah.
Starfighter.
Yeah, sure.
He'll have that jacket on. He'll do like this, and the techno music will come in.
But you know I know the books of the High Republic brought in a adversary called the Nile, which is a force, I guess. Yeah. Sorry.
There's some other Nazi groups gonna like form, and there'll be some other group of like space Nazis.
Well, the Nile's one of it's been around for a very long time. It's one of like the older EU and still current established enemy. I don't want to say bigger than an enemy faction.
Yeah.
There's like a whole. Yeah. The Nile encompasses so much.
But, we got more to discuss than that right now. That's for future conversations for sure. Rogue Squadron is not officially It's not officially cancelled because Lucasfilm, I think all of them are in a public way of never saying something's officially cancelled if they announce
Brent, they don't cancel stuff. They just don't make it.
They just don't make it. Yeah. Anyway. Moving on, because there is a lot that went on in Celebration. We're still only on day one in the opening scene when they came in, but they did have the first panel, which was Mando and Grogu, which of course comes May 2026 to the theaters.
Yeah.
Which I don't think there was any surprise there. We actually ended up by hearing those dates come fruition. Sorry, Anchorman. Sorry to hear about the loss of your grandfather, buddy.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Sorry about that, man. Sorry. Back to Mando and Grogu. But yeah, they showed a few snapshots. Well, actually, they showed some video. I just pulled some snapshots from it, so I can't really play or do anything too much with it.
They showed a more official version of that. I think Star Wars posted.
Yeah, there was actually one. But he's got some new costume design there. It's kind of cool. I like it. It's all black.
Yeah. It's because he's going into his John Wayne mode.
Sure. Yeah. A couple of other snapshots that came out from the Celebration. They did have Sigourney Weaver there. And, I'm not too sure how big or how immersive her role is.
In all of her film career,
yeah.
She announced for the first time in her whole career, she's going to fight an alien.
That's funny. But this was some shots on set with her in costume. She's obviously in a pilot uniform. I don't think she's just a rebel pilot though, so I'm kind of curious as to see what her backstory is all about. We've also got the little BX.
I want her to be Pele's cousin.
But they got the BX droids, which they had them on display there. Who? Yeah, who's?
What's her name? Amy Sedaris.
Oh, Amy Sedaris.
Yeah, Amy Sedaris. I was gonna say it'd be funny if they were partners, if they knew each other or like something like that.
That's what I thought.
That'd be hysterical.
That'd be really funny if she.
They look like they're working at
Yeah.
loading dock.
That's funny. Yeah. Anyway, they showed some behind the scenes of the feature film. There's some really cool stuff here on some of the. I guess I don't know where this is. Could be the AT-AT Walker, perhaps. I'm not too sure. Um, but you
That's
know,
Mando letting his child into a bar again.
yeah, he has a habit of taking the kid into the bar.
Yeah, I feel like he'd be the guy that's like, Mando, we have a job for you. You
Hey,
gotta go. You gotta go to the strip club. We think it may be an illegal brothel. And he's like,
when
come on,
hey,
kid, let's
no, no, no,
go.
no, 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 Max. When I was 3, my dad used to actually play drums in a band, and he'd be playing at nightclubs up until like about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be right there with my mother and father under the tables, hanging
I mean,
out,
yeah, but that's
playing
different
around. What do
circumstance.
you mean? Grogu's a kid as well, technically. I was a kid going to nightclubs and bars when I was 3, so yes,
Grogu's
it's
50,
perfectly
50
natural.
50 years old. It's like Vern Troyer
That'd be,
going to a bar. It's totally okay.
that'd be funny if Grogu tried to defend the age limit of drinking.
Uh-huh. What year would Grogu actually grow up? I don't know if there's a specific year as much. I don't think he's going to have this sudden growth spurt.
I do have a theory. I
But
have a theory
wait.
that
Before you do have your theory, I was going to say they did, I believe, upgrade the puppet a little bit older between when we last saw him in season 3 to season 4. So there's a few changes they made of development of the puppet from what I had read. But yeah, okay. What's your theory, Max?
I think Grogu, this man is a full-grown adult who is just tricking Mando because he's small, and he's like, "My life is would be so much easier if this man just thinks I'm a baby my whole life.
Uh-huh.
He'll die before I get to
I
whatever
mean,
age he thinks I become an adult
he
at.
is 50 plus, so it's like, yeah.
He's just like, this will take care of me. He'll
Mm-hmm.
feed me. He'll never. I can do nothing wrong if he always thinks I'm just
Yeah.
a baby."
Yeah.
He's a
Anyway,
spy. He works for the Empire, and like really, he turns as soon as he's gone. He turns around, and is
uh-huh.
like, "Thank God that asshole left." He's like smoking a cigar.
Yeah, smoking a cigarette.
Smoking a cigar.
cigarette.
Oh, the Emperor is like,
Uh-huh.
I almost got this schmuck in the palm of my hands. He's gonna carry me around everywhere. All I have to do is look cute. Jerk knows
Mind
nothing.
tricks. I don't have mind
If
tricks.
Yoda
I'm
is
just
not-
waving my hand going, hey! Anyway, yeah, we got some nice visuals. And then I'm going to flash this image for a very split second, but I just don't want to get kind of in trouble from it. But we get ourselves a buff hut. This is... this came from the video that they showed. Basically, it is Road of the Hutt, which we saw as a baby in the Clone Wars animated film that came out. All growing up, Jabba the Hutt's son, and he looks like
became a
he's
gladiator.
in an arena, a gladiator kind of look and vibe to him. And he's very, very fit for a hut, which is kind
Why
of creepy.
why did they get what's his name to voice him? What's the point of that?
To have a talent. We just lost Elijah. Yeah. I don't know. I guess he was a good voice. I guess I don't know. He was friends with John Favreau. I don't know. I don't know these
I mean,
guys.
sure, yeah, sure.
I don't
just
have
wanted
the.
to know
I
why
don't have the
he's
answers
a very
to these
high
questions.
profile voice actor for such a random character. I was wondering,
Buffed
like
up,
I
yeah.
don't know. It seems kind of a random choice for him.
Yeah, Road to the Hut would be great. I agree. I'm very
I thought it'd be
excited.
fun.
I'm excited to see. I love the Hut race, and I love the idea of just seeing more of them in Star Wars in
So
general.
if you existed in the Star Wars universe, you'd work for the Hutts willingly.
No, I'd avoid them at all costs, but I just find them fascinating as a species. I mean, ever since they were introduced, their homeworld in the animated Clone Wars of Nalhata, I found that fascinating too. And just, the fact that we got all these really cool, cool backstories to what the Hutts are and all that. So it looks like Elijah's internet went out. That kind of sucks. Hang on a second. So it might be just you and me, Max, for a little bit. Anyway, we've got still plenty to go through. Anyway, yeah, I mean, they basically went through the Mando and Grogu film, bits and pieces, nothing specific. And they showed a few scenes. Wait, he's back. All right.
I'm back. My internet went out.
There you go. Yeah, that's all right. You're good. The Hudson Gangsters immoral line, to be sure. Absolutely no. I'm fascinated. I'm as fascinated to see this film. There was a trailer that they saw at Celebration for this. I did. None of us saw this sneaked out and deleted, trailer online at all. But
You
I'm
get in
very
trouble for
excited.
scrolling something on Instagram.
But I am excited to see this movie.
That being said, I can't believe they got Mace Windu to return.
He's kidding. That's the next movie. Anyway, they went through Manuel Grogu, and that was like the opening 20th anniversary, or sorry, the opening anniversary of what's it called? So the opening celebration, I should say, of Celebration itself. Later that afternoon, they jumped into Star Wars Animation 20 years. That's where I was getting the 20 from. They actually gave everybody this really cool drawn poster of the animated poster.
Cool.
I really would love to get this poster, but there's
I
apparently
noticed that there's a character missing.
which one?
Who would you think is missing, Brent?
Well, okay,
Who
wait.
has
First,
not-
first,
Okay,
first, wait. First,
Wait a minute, who's
Fives.
taking the
Fives.
photo? Who's taking the
It's-
photo? Ever think about that, Max?
There's
I
a
mean,
character
true.
missing.
Maybe he's the one that took the photo, and I said
Oh.
he. Who is missing, Brent?
Fives. One of the clones.
Who else? Okay,
I don't
yes,
know.
who? Luke Skywalker has never been animated fully, so Luke Skywalker
Well,
is not
yes,
on this poster.
it's okay. So let's. This poster, I read the artist posted online, and he said he was able to fit in 152.
Can you make that bigger so I can? So we can look at that? Is there a way of like?
I actually can't.
I need to look that up.
Yeah, I'll send that to you in the link. But basically, it's all the animated characters that have appeared in animation form in the Clone Wars and Rebels and Resistance. Resistance and all those other shows. And there's 152 characters. The artist said he got as many as he could possibly get in there. There's still plenty missing, but at the same time, they got most of the key ones, which was it's really cool. Really nice poster art. I really want to get my hands on one of those. But
kind of related, but Scott Koblish does a poster series like this or a cover series like this for Marvel and DC Comics,
right,
where he does the most characters ever on a cover. I think his current record is somewhere like over 1,000.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Well, either way, that was what everybody got who went to the panel of the Lucasfilm Animation.
Cool.
They ended up by showing an animatic. Basically, Dave Filoni was there. He talked about some of the stuff. This is one of the scenes from a unused Clone Wars from season 7, but it was the episode that connects Boba Fett with Cad Bane, and they haven't given us any more hints as to whether they're going to actually do more stories in the future. I would imagine they'll eventually do that, but. They showed a whole animatic scene, which was kind of fun to see. They actually showed that through the live stream. So if you ever get the chance, go to the Star Wars Day 1, and they actually will have the full, animatic that they showed to everybody there. But the big one that really came around was that after they did this kind of thing about, all the animation of the Star Wars years over the 20 years kind of thing, they then announced what their new animated series is going to be, and the actual animated series is going to be Darth Maul, or Maul Shadow Lord, which is going to pick up after the events of the Clone Wars. He was last seen escaping Ahsoka Tano, and in combat basically right before Episode 3 happened and got away. We don't know that story until Solo. And he pops up in Solo, and he's kind of like the head of the Crimson Dawn. So
I barely remember that. Forgot
yeah, and so basically, we're going to get the story that's going to take place during that point in time. I'm guessing where he's actually going to be make himself the head of the syndicate of the time.
Who keeps track
which
of
would
all
be
this
fun.
stuff in
Let's see.
Lucasfilm? Is there like a bookkeeper?
Well,
that,
this
like,
has been
keeps
this
track
has
There
been
of
is,
stuff?
yes,
established.
Pablo Hidalgo. Pablo
This has been established in
Hidalgo
books
is,
and comics. They just did a whole thing with not only
yeah,
Maul
oh, yeah,
being thing, but Maul
yeah,
losing the role of his
yeah.
seat to Chira. And I want to see how much they keep and how much they throw away.
Well, here's the cool thing: we're going to probably get Kira as an animated version of that character. I would hope they're going to get in what's her name to voice Kira's character. It'd be really cool if they do. What's her name from Game of Thrones? She. Oh, I forgot her name.
Emilia Clarke,
Amelia Clark. Thank you. Yes, I
aka the
really
most
hope.
beloved MCU character to ever live.
Uh huh. Shut up. But I would like to see her come back, at least voice that character. But that's going to be kind of cool. So basically, the first trailer was shown in this. Again, never saw it because they never actually released it officially. But basically, there is a slightly different art style to all this from what the Clone Wars was. There's a lot more roughness to it, which I actually kind of like this look and vibe. Although it still has that same Clone Wars. I think it's what would you say, Max? It's kind of like a different paint technique that they're using over the top of the.
This is them trying to do a Wolverine story.
Okay, fair enough.
It's like grittier than the X-Men.
Well,
It's
I'm talking about the animation style itself, though.
I know. I'm saying
Yeah.
compared to the X-Men,
Okay, right.
it's grittier. It's got I don't know. It's trying to emote a darker feeling than something like Clone Wars
Yeah.
did. It's not trying to be the next evolutionary step of Clone Wars, like something
Yeah.
like Bad Batch was. It's going to the
Yeah.
side, saying this is something different. And darker.
Yeah. Well, the question is because in the trailer we see he ends up with a new Padawan. He was trying to get Ezra Bridger as his Padawan at one point in the Star Wars Rebels and failed in the end, obviously.
In what trailer, Brent?
In what trailer? The trailer that I never saw. Apparently,
In
down
the trailer
bottom
with
right.
Darth. What's his name?
What's
your
what?
name? What
Talon?
Talon? I almost said bite.
Well, we don't know if it's Talon. Okay, so this is a character that may or may not be a character called Darth Talon. That's from the books or the comics. I can't remember.
I know Talon from Dark Horse Comics.
It was the comics, yeah. And she's a Twi'lek, basically, but a Sith of some sort. But I'm kind of curious to see if Maul does have this apprentice, and she does survive beyond Maul, because Maul eventually dies during the course of the Rebels timeline, which is before A New Hope. I'm wondering whether she will stick around and be old enough to go up against characters like Rey in the future. I'm wondering whether they're actually developing a new Sith character that could come to power by the time Rey.
I think that was the quota that Filoni got. Was he said, "Whatever you do going in the Mandoverse, whatever you do going forward, has to connect to our Dawn of the New Jedi."
Exactly.
And that needs villains.
Yeah.
They need someone. They need a villain to follow precisely.
Yeah.
That's always been part of Star Wars. Was
Yeah.
a villain who's not just a secondary protagonist, but an antagonist you have a backseat to.
Yeah.
And
I feel like this
I
could
think
be
Talon's a good choice for that.
I think, yeah, and it could be interesting to see if this is indeed the early stages of this new character. We don't know how many seasons this show will go for. I mean, Bad Batch went for 3 seasons. Maul would have a story arc that would lead him all the way up to Rebels, and Rebels he was stuck on. Basically, he found Ezra Bridger found him when he was stuck on Manticore, which was the Sith planet. Manticore, or the Sith home. No, it wasn't the Sith homeworld. It was the Sith planet or whatever. And no Jedi ever went there, so he was trapped there and couldn't get off the planet. So somehow, I would like to see this story pick up from when he left Ahsoka Tano at the end of the Clone Wars and take it all the way through to when he gets stuck on that planet. And that also, between all that, he is the head of the syndicate of the what's it called, the Crimson Dawn.
Crimson Dawn.
Yeah, so that's going to be kind of cool, and this is going to be a fun story. And he's no longer.
It's going to be crazy when they introduce Mara Jade.
He's they're not going to introduce Mara Jade. I keep telling you, it's never going to happen.
Why do they have her
yeah,
lightsaber at Disney
yeah,
World?
yeah. I know. They're not going to introduce her in
Why do
live
they have her
action.
lightsaber then?
They
Everyone
because
else's
they
lightsaber has
no no
existed
no
in live
no no
action.
no 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 no
They put an effort into
no
designing a lightsaber that
no.
she would use. That
Anyway,
means someone had to. I mean, it means that that prop had to already exist, and they had to approve that design as well. This is her lightsaber going forward.
anyway,
I
that
heard
being the
Helen Mirren is
case,
playing her.
that
Hey,
was the thing.
3PO, stop talking.
Yeah, that's it. Anyway, more will be coming out. What was it? Actually, they had a release date, and I completely or a release time period. When was it?
2026.
It was. I think it was 2026. Yeah, it wasn't 2027. Yeah, I think it was next year. So we're going to get something in the next year or so, which would be cool. I know there was an actual date, but yeah.
That's
I mean, I'm looking forward to
crazy.
that. I'm looking. Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, Elijah, you're not a big animation fan with stuff, but is that something you'd be kind of interested in
I mean,
seeing
it's not that I'm
released?
not an animation fan.
I mean,
The
of
original,
what they've done. Yeah.
well, yeah, what they've done. I mean, the animation does really bother me. I mean, especially the earlier like Clone Wars one. It just looks so bad. It made me not interested to see it.
Yeah.
I know Jason kind of has an opinion on some of that stuff.
He's got his own
Um,
opinion on the style. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's I don't. It's a little strange that they and they've stuck to it. It's kind of like they're forced to like kind of stick to that kind of like look, so they kind of works together.
Yeah. I mean, I like
I
it
don't
as
know.
a.
Like I said, I haven't watched a lot of them, so I don't know the stories.
Yeah.
I know you rave about the stories, but sometimes the
Yeah. I
animation is
just feel
harder for
like
me
it.
to like get
Yeah.
past to
No.
get to the story to
Yeah.
appreciate the story.
I get you. I mean, I think that's really it. It fills in a lot of context of the bigger picture of everything that you get a glimpse of in just the feature films, because the feature films have only got 2 hours to tell this story, and like any live action TV show or animated story that's in that same world, I feel like there's been some great context that gets to the point quickly of why situations are and all this. So we get to see this whole gap here, post, post or by the time the Empire have taken full control, as to what Maul is doing in that time period, and I'm kind of excited to see how that plays out. So I'm curious to, there's a lot that's going to be cool about that. So at least I think so. Anyway, day 2 came along, and then they started going on with Andor season 2. I can't express enough how freaking awesome Diego Luna is to both the fans and just to his love of appreciation of being on this project. He's now been on Andor for just on 11 years, between
Wow.
Rogue One right through to now, from when he started the
Oh,
first
okay, Rogue One.
auditions. Yeah, and how crazy is that? That like he's lived with this character for 11 years. But yeah, he was highly appreciative of everybody around him, and he was, even when he was in Celebration in 2022 when I saw him on the live stage. I mean, he was just really
Well, this is the last
really.
time he has to promote it without getting paid an additional fee.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's just simply he's very proud of what he's done. And with season 2 starting this Tuesday, which we will be doing some reactions for, man, it's gonna be tough because I'm working as well. So I'm gonna have a very late night editing and then have to go to work the next day. But I'm looking forward to seeing how these stories take place. Basically, what was it? The conversations that came out, Andor season 2, broken down to numbers from by the executive producer. There were 140 sets across 7 sets and 24 locations. In other words, 7 different places, yes, settings, kind of thing. 700 costumes for just the principal cast alone. That's not including background.
That's crazy.
152 creatures were created, so we might be getting a little few more aliens this time around, which would be kind of cool. 30 droids were created, which is a bit disappointing because I love the droids. I want to see more droids, but obviously we got 30 different droids, and there's 1,300 visual effect shots. So yeah,
Well, it's just 30 droids. I mean, the 30s
yeah.
of one type of droid, not like, could be a bunch
Well,
of new. I mean, it's a lot.
30,
30
yeah,
droids.
yeah, over the course of 12 episodes, but
Heck yeah,
at
that's
the
like
yeah,
3
yeah,
episode or something.
yeah, that's fair enough. But I'm very enthusiastic, despite the fact that Andor season 1 is, for me, too dark, maybe. But I enjoyed the lightheartedness of Star Wars personally. But it's still the best made series that's ever been done, of the live action TV shows for sure. I am really looking forward to seeing what they do with season 2. And really, they didn't go into too much detail. They actually showed the first episode to the people who were there on the panel. So everyone's basically raving how good episode 1 is out of the 3-part. But I feel like each 3-part act is going to be such a great thing. Now, this is something that dropped today that I saw, and I kind of was thinking in the back of my mind, is this something that may happen? And apparently, Tony Gilroy revealed that episodes 1 to 3 of Andor season 2 have been remixed for a possible theatrical release in the future, and we might, they might actually do the other episodes as well. Think about it. We're getting a 2.5-hour story in each year leading up to the effects of Rogue One. So it would make sense that somewhere in the near future they might drop these movies. Oh, the 10th anniversary of Rogue One is Rogue One is next year. So
So they
we
drop
might
all
get
3 and Rogue One.
or draw 4. Yeah, it'd be kind of
Yeah,
cool if they do that. Once a week prior to Rogue
that's how
One,
you get
drop.
back your Disney Plus
Oh,
money.
that's it. No, totally,
Yeah.
absolutely. I would go see any of these shows on the big screen. Anything drops, I want to see it on the big screen so badly. It's just such a different experience. So we might be getting. Yeah, Eagles toys. Yes, okay, you got me there. Droids means more toys. Was that easier to make? Anyway, yeah, we might be getting the possibilities of season 2 of Andor because they're such epic big adventures on the big screen. I would definitely go see movies. Would you guys go see that? Even though it comes out.
Probably not.
Really?
Probably not.
Yeah,
No,
probably.
I just feel like, yeah.
Really? I'd definitely go see them on the big screen. I mean, just there's such a great experience. There's such a different experience about experiencing these shows on the big screen, in my opinion. Anyway, each to their own, I guess. Anyway, Andor, as I said, they didn't show much. They didn't talk about too much. They would just talk about experiences on the set for the most part. And then later on that day, day 2, they went into the Ahsoka panel, season 2. Season 2 starts shooting next week, and there'll be 8 episodes. Dave Filoni's written them, which is pretty much a given at that point. They did do some reveals, which I thought was kind of interesting. The first reveal was that they showed what.
The Hound as Balin Skull.
Yes, yeah, and this is what he looks like as Balin Scroll's character. So he's taking a slightly different approach, but I'm excited to see how his performance
I think it looks
is.
similar. I don't think it looks that different. I think it's the problem is the hood's too big where it covers the hair.
Yeah, I
So
guess.
you can't see how similar it actually does look.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously wearing a wig underneath all that, so
Yeah.
because he's quite a
I
bald
think because
man
you
that
can't
way.
see it because the hood is covering it, it
Yeah.
makes him look so much more different.
Yeah,
But I think once you see the wig, you'll notice the resemblance to the original character.
yeah.
But he's
But I
also
mean,
wearing much more of a Sith robe than his original costume. It feels like.
well, that's the other thing too. I don't know what I don't know how, because they're going to be dealing with this whole world between worlds. I don't know how this is going to alter the characters, and I feel like it's definitely good advice for anybody who's not seen it, or if you need to recap, to rewatch the Clone Wars 3-part arc, which is basically the Mortis world arc. It was such a great arc that put something new about the Force in Star Wars, and I thought it was just very well done as a story. Very cool. That directly came from George Lucas himself, and he wanted to do something with basically what's higher up than a Jedi and a Sith. What kind of entity has been there for hundreds of thousands of years, and these Mortis gods, as they're called, are part of that. But it also ties into some stuff they tied into with Rebels as well. So it's a fascinating side plot that Dave Filoni gets to play in this playground with, and I think is going to go a lot deeper into season 2 with a lot heavier stuff. These are some of the models that they actually made up for some of season 2. They're doing Loth kittens this time round.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I know, it is a bit weird. We've got a couple of...
That just looks like a toy. It just looks like a toy. It's
Yeah, oh
like
yeah.
You're big for a toy. It's just
Oh,
like,
totally, yeah.
come on.
It's great. I love it. they look like... Yeah, they probably are. They're all spray painted white, but it's basically some of the model setting. But yeah,
You can't loath everything.
you can loathe everything. These are Loth kittens. So obviously, Merle, which by the way, that's the cat. Apparently, Dave Filoni did say that cat will be making an appearance in season 2. So that cat got pregnant, I'm sure, left behind and had kittens. I don't know. And they did show artwork, a scene of trailer. Again, video that we hadn't seen, but I just saw this little image online. This creature was a design that was actually created, and the original concept behind this was this design was a Jedi Temple Clone Wars arc, and it never got written, it never got finished, but it's some sort of creature that lived in, under the old Jedi Temple or something like that. So whatever these things are coming into season 2, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, just some cool stuff. Chopper with a gun is scary. Anyway, it's only artwork that they've shown at this point. They showed a video which was very kind of fun that I never saw. But yeah, they start shooting next week, basically. Industrial Light and Magic had a great big panel there, and of course, Elijah, as you said earlier, ILM season 2 started streaming, but it was quite fascinating just watching these guys talk. Doug Chang was there, and John Knoll, who was one of the original ILM guys, a few others as such, but it was just it was a cool thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing the ILM season 2 for sure. Yeah. And dropping.
Yeah, it was a quick watch. They're only like an hour long, so you can watch.
Yeah.
I think, Brent.
Yeah. I didn't realize there was only 3 episodes this season, so I don't know if they're just dropping 3 or 3 was it, and they kind of tied it up.
It felt like by the 3rd episode that they wrapped it up like that was the end of this season.
All right. So. Okay. Because the other person on the panel, by the way, was Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, cool.
And I believe they...
Yeah, there's a whole bit in it with him.
Yeah. Which is interesting because he was one of the very first people who was really experimenting with the motion capture stuff.
Right.
Which I didn't even stop to think about that because I was like, oh yeah, of course, because... ILM developed some of that technology, and then of course Wetaworks took it, and then eventually Gollum came along and became, more known and more publicly known. But
well, that was the fear of the character. They offered it to Eddie Murphy initially. He was going to be Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, really?
And Eddie said no because
wait.
Face.
Well, here's the thing. No, wait. Voicing Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks was always Ahmed Best because of his physique.
Was it just voicing?
It was just voicing, yeah. In Celebration, Ahmed Best was talking a lot about this, and he actually said that he was always brought in to physically move around, and he didn't even know he was going to be voicing the character. It's fascinating. If you get the chance, it's worth checking out some of the Celebration video there. But when he's talking, he really is a fascinating actor. despite the fact that he played people will say he's an annoying character. To kids, he's exactly what George Lucas set it up to be. It was a character for kids, for Jar Jar Binks. But Ahmed Best said he didn't even know he was going to be voicing the character because he was always led to believe somebody else was until the table read. And when the table read came along, he was invited by George Lucas to sit in on the table read, not knowing that he was going to be voicing Jar Jar. And he said that even up to the minute that his first line was going to be said, he didn't know what he was going to do. And he just took, some of the information that George had talked about, how George thought that character should probably sound like. And then he just went with that character. And then he started, and apparently the one person, and he was terrified because Liam Neeson's in the room, and all these and all these other actors who have done so much
have
stuff.
to read it in a Jar Jar voice for the first time. Whatever, just drinking coffee.
And he was afraid he was going to be absolutely ripped. Yeah, that's it. And you know the one person who laughed at it? Jake Lloyd.
Lloyd.
Okay. Jake Lloyd. Jake Lloyd laughed at it straight away, and then he realized that's it. That's what George Lucas was looking for.
Well, he laughed because everyone else was talking in like a normal, serious voice, and then this one dude comes in and they're like, "All right, who's the next character?" And he's like, "Misa, I love you." And you're like,
but then he said that's when it clicked, and he said he understood that character now. Because that's exactly what George Lucas intended him to be. And George Lucas did say to him, and he's always said this, he doesn't care about who likes or dislikes Jar Jar Binks. He was made for 12-year-old kids, and that was it. So despite people and, the fans giving Ahmed Best trouble over the years and being really disrespectful, he's finally getting some appreciation.
By the end of the movie, he gives Jar Jar the biggest gun you could possibly think of, and he goes hunting droids.
Well,
Rambo style.
You'll like the interviews with George Lucas in the second season. He's pretty. He's got his foot down a lot of the time. He's like, "No, it's this way," and he's like, "The way it talks, it's funny."
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Like
Ahmed Best.
He's himself very strongly.
Yeah. Well, Ahmed Best did try to commit suicide. He was at a point of his life that it was just torn down, and it's sad that anybody, it doesn't matter whether it's a Star Wars actor or anyone, nobody should be treated like that by people who disgruntled fans who think that their version or what they want to see is going to be
especially
it's still a person at the end of the day.
They went through some bullshit for nothing.
But aside from all,
Liam Neeson gets to be taken and Ewan McGregor gets celebrated for 25 years.
Yeah, but at the same time, he was eventually Ahmed Best was brought back to be in that Jedi Temple game for kids show kind of thing, and he really enjoyed that. And then, of course, they made him as an official character in Mandalorian. The Mandalorian, we get the flashback.
He's the guy that saves Baby Yoda. He's not just a random character. He's like, the most important character in the whole show.
Yeah.
Who's going to be like the guy that he's a Jedi? He's got to be the coolest guy ever. Yeah. He saves the most important and cutest character in Star Wars. Who's it going to be?
And it's fantastic.
Jar Jar Binks.
Everybody's going, it's going to be Mace Windu. And when it's not Mace Windu, they're going, wait, that's Jar Jar. That's Ahmed Best. And anyway, that being the case, he also said that they're now going to be adapting and putting his character into a comic book or something like that too. So, which is cool. Again,
the character's also existed before Mando. It's the same character that was in the whatever game show he hosted.
Yes.
So now they're just
expanding on the character.
Now they're just expanding on the character to make it like a more of a well-rounded thing.
Yeah. So anyway, I actually found Ahmed Best to be one of the most fascinating actors to listen to and tell stories. He had some freaking awesome stories that he was talking, whether he was on the live stage or whether he was in the main stage or whatever it may be. It really is. If I'm sure these clips will end up online everywhere. No, I would say that he was he oh,
Omar the
shut
best.
up, Ahmed Best. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Funny. I would say that he was just fascinating to listen to, and a lot of people should give the actor more credit than his characters that he played.
Georgie Best.
Yeah, and speaking of a character that he also played, because he also came in to do this as well, Rebuilding the Galaxy Part 2 is going to be coming out next year. Pieces of the Past, it's called.
I kind of already knew about this.
Yeah, and we kind of gathered there'd be a Part 2, but
There was
supposedly...
rumblings.
Yeah, Darth Jar Jar kind of crushed it and supposedly died, but Missa returned. So apparently he might be returned.
Darth Jar Jar is being that's only for a
He's
Fortnite
been used.
thing.
He's been used in Fortnite as well, and
Yeah,
played voiced by Ahmed Best. But Ahmed Best kind of did, but didn't quite say that he might be making a vocal appearance in the
interesting.
second.
Eileen
Yeah.
Jedi Bob was coming back.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, he's doing some voice work in the second one. So I don't know if that means that Darth Jar Jar will be back. I think they're gonna bring Darth Jar Jar back because come on, I want to see more Darth Jar Jar. I think it's hysterical.
I've heard that the writers want to bring Jedi Bob into live action.
I really don't know what Fortnite is, but anyway.
All right,
I
Brent,
know
I'm
it's
gonna
a game.
Fortnite real quick.
Okay, it's
Imagine
a game.
if it was like a game, but the
Yes.
way they made money is they put every IP in there and
Yes,
said,
I
if
got
you
that.
want to play as your favorite character, it's $15.
But what's the game? I don't even know what the story is. I don't know.
There is an ongoing story. That
Okay.
takes way more time to explain, but it's just a cage match.
Okay,
Like imagine there was 30 minutes, and then you have to take like 100 people, then last person standing wins.
Okay,
But you're
fair
all
enough.
playing as your favorite IP now. The
Fair
game
enough.
is evolved.
Well,
I don't
okay.
play it anymore, but maybe I
Okay.
will for not Star Wars.
Okay. Well, either way, he'll be doing some voice acting in that. He'll be appearing, or Darth Jar Jar will be appearing in Fortnite, and yeah, so that was Ahmed Best. It was quite fascinating. Anyway, and then Rebuilding the Galaxy comes out September 19th of this year. My mistake.
You forgot to include Jackson's going to be in it and Ashley Johnson.
Ashley, not Ashley Eckstein is going to be voicing
So I'm
Ahsoka
thinking
Tano.
Last of Us.
Yeah. Ashley Eckstein will be returning as voicing Ahsoka Tano or Ahsoka Brick Tano. I don't know what those brick toys are called, but I don't like them personally. They're a bit weird, but at the same time, yeah.
They're
and obviously,
now.
we get Chewbacca in there, so I don't know how this story
What
plays
about Jackson, the most important?
Yeah, Jackson's in there, which is the rabbit. Go figure.
That's one of the writers said he was his favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, if you had the chance, you got to include Jackson. You wanted to.
Yeah, Ashley did cry on stage when she said that she got the news, and she's definitely hyper emotional. I can say that. That's for sure.
I think it's also she's very sad that she kind of lost the character. Like she was attached to this character for years, and now she gets to be known as like the former.
She gets to be every other version of Ahsoka Tano, which is not the animated Ahsoka Tano.
Well, she also gets to be known as the former voice actress of Ahsoka Tano. While Rosario Dawson gets to be known as Ahsoka Tano. It's just like they kind of took that from her.
There is still potential she might turn up in more. She didn't turn up in the Bad Batch, unfortunately, but she can pop up again. Anyway, being the case, that was kind of fun. They also went through Disney theme parks. They're doing the upgrades. I think we mentioned this a while ago.
They announced that a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, with the Millennium Falcon is now going to be upgraded to Smuggler's Run.
Good quality of life upgrade though for the ride.
Yeah. So apparently there's a new mission where Grogu and Mandalorian are on a mission. Apparently, the one big thing though is that apparently the engineer, who has the least amount of work to do in that ride, in my opinion, is now given the most important job, because the important job is what mission do you go on and which route do you take. And the engineer is the one that is going to end up by being given the controls to deciding where do you want to go, which could be kind of fun.
Interesting. They take the least wanted position and give them the...
Yes.
Well, they're going to be pushing the buttons. They get to push which planet they're pushing the buttons on.
Yes,
you already
exactly.
get to fly the ship. You get to shoot the guns.
Yeah.
He's just pushing buttons. He gets to pick.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that.
But
They
there are
kind of
choices.
balance.
There are choices again to go to different places and
Yeah,
or
they
different
added a big
situations.
quality of life thing. They're actual
Yeah.
missions now. They've
Yeah.
revamped the whole thing,
Yeah.
which
Which
is
is cool.
good. I mean,
Y-
the idea was it's like you do it once and you're kind of done. And then obviously
Yeah.
they wanted to be repeatable, so they added a high
Yeah.
score element to it.
Oh yeah.
But I think this is
Do you
a
think
lot
they'll
better.
keep Star Wars if they do that? Like they'll keep Star Wars separate, or do you think
They
they'll close Star
they've
Wars?
Star Tours is
updated
always
Star
going to be.
Tours.
Yeah. Star
I
Tours has
think it's
always
getting
been updated.
updated.
Yeah. Yeah. There is now over. Well, at one point there was 52 different versions of sets of 3 rides. You go on the ride and there's 3 different planets, and they
Yeah.
change them out. But yeah, the Smuggler's Run seemed kind of a bit more limited to be able to do massive changes. But it seems like they found a way to upgrade, which is cool. I'm glad that they
I also
keep
heard that
keep
they
it
that they
interesting.
want to upgrade the theme park as a whole to change the time period. I've heard that because it was originally set
Yeah.
during the sequel
Does
trilogy.
yeah, and
Then
they're
they
gonna
then they changed it to
yeah
Mandoverse, and they
yeah.
kind of retconned some
I
stuff, and
think it was
hourly it was different periods.
they were pushing for that time period, but I feel like that they've
Well,
already
what they
started
did
doing it
was
by
different
introducing different
hours.
actors as different characters in different time periods. It's a
They did different
multi-generational.
hours of the day was different
Right.
time periods.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they'd have like different days with like seasons almost, where it'd be like
yeah,
between 3 and 6. You're
yeah,
going back to the Mandoverse, and we'll
yeah,
have Mando and
yeah,
Boba and all of them walking around. And then
yeah,
at 6 to whatever, it goes back to
yeah.
Ray and
Hmm.
Finn and whatever. And it's like I think they want to find the permanent what is this
I don't
of
think they need to.
Galaxy's
I
Edge.
think that's the that's limited thinking. I think the fact
Do
is
they
that
want to keep growing it?
they can go to whatever time period they want because it's a multi generational planet. The idea is that you could be there at any point in time of history, and all these characters have interacted with the planet. So I think they're doing the right thing there. It's just the setting of the First Order stuff. There's that one area where the First Order ship is and everything that's very specific. Otherwise, everything else is pretty open to be up for
Well,
interpretation.
until Kylo Ren walks by.
Yeah. Anyway,
But
being
even
the
in the
case.
game, in the Rise of the Resistance ride, that's all Kylo Ren and like all that's all
Sure,
new
but
stormtroopers and all that stuff.
that's also
Yeah,
separated a little further back from the rest of the walkthrough area.
not
So,
really. It's just a
yeah.
few feet from it.
Well, it's yeah. Anyway, but
And
anyway,
I was there with Brandon. We
oh
were
yeah,
actually in front of the Millennium Falcon, and the Kylo Ren actor walks by, and
yeah.
he looked at Brandon, and Brandon goes, points to the Millennium Falcon, and goes, "Pretty sweet ship, huh?" And Kylo Ren just goes, "No," and just keeps walking.
That's funny.
It's like, at least it's in character.
Oh, that's funny. Anyway, moving along, the other stuff that I found kind of fun, Star Wars Publishing. They've got a few art of books coming out. They're releasing the Arc of the Acolyte, which I'm fascinated in. I can't wait to see some of that behind the scenes stuff.
I heard the art book gets canceled halfway through.
What's that? Oh, shut up. The Art of Andor is going to be both Andor Season 1 and 2, so I imagine this is going to be quite a big book. I'm very much looking forward to that. This one kind of got dropped a few weeks ago, but I definitely want to get my hands on this book, The Art of Doug Chang, done in the same fashion as the art of Ralph McQuarrie. So it's a 2-book kind of 800-page thing. But the one big thing they did announce, which I really want to get my hands on, but man, it's expensive. The Art of ILM 50th anniversary.
Whoa.
Yeah,
It's expensive because
$270.
it's got
How much is
gold
that one?
leaf.
Yeah, $270. Yeah, it's expensive. But it comes out. Wait a minute. When did I say it comes out? November 5th of this year. The Art of Doug Chang comes out December 2nd. I think the
If
other
anyone
two
could
books come
justify
out.
that price of a book, it's me, but it's still hard.
I can justify it. I mean, I've got the other Art of books of Art of ILM. I've got the first 10 years and I've got the second 10-year book. And they're beautiful books. But these are all new photos. Apparently, none of these photos have been used in the other books. So I'm curious to see what they've got in that, in that package. And when it comes to the high-end books, I don't mind paying for something like this because it
they
is
look really
gorgeous.
good on the shelf.
They look really, yeah, and and they're a tax write-off. What can I say? All of it is. Anyway, but yeah, those are coming out. Yeah. One last thing on that second day, Tony Gilroy was saying that Lucasfilm are apparently working on a horror project in the works. I don't know what that means, but anyway,
I heard it's Ewoks.
I have no idea. The other thing, yeah, Ewoks would be kind of fun. A horror project around Ewoks would be actually really fun. Yeah.
It's been done a million times. Star Wars did a mode in a game called Ewok Hunt, and it framed the Ewoks as like slasher villains.
Yeah. Someone
And
did
I think
a short.
there's a short. Your friend did a short film based on that mode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just a concept that kind of existed for a while. I think the other thing people ignore is if they had a dress for Leia, that means they basically killed and ate a person who was Leia's size already.
Yes. Agreed. Anyway, other stuff that was on the floor. Apparently, Hot Toys had a huge bay there. They're finally making a Poe Dameron 12-inch figure. They're making a Jar Jar 12-inch figure, and the Cassian Andor one's pretty cool too. They got a few more clones and stuff like that. So they were doing some reveals there. Micro Galaxy Squadron were doing another set of reveals. This is cool. The fact we got a probe droid and the actual probe ship that it comes in. A holographic B-Wing, which is really sweet. They're also making the AT-DT, I think it is, the other walker that's to the back there, the earlier...
I believe it's an ACDC.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Oh, and we're also getting a TIE Defender down there too, which is really sweet. We're getting a generic toy version of the AT-AT Walker, and a few other things that they're releasing. Anyway, day 3 went full-on Star Wars Visions, and they announced that they're doing 3 sequels for Season 1. The Duel, The Village Bride, which, to be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of that one. It didn't do anything for me.
I don't even remember that one.
Yeah, and then The Ninth Jedi, which is cool. Yeah, and The Ninth Jedi are all getting an episode 2 in the next season. And then they announced from that there's also 6 other. Look how cool this is! This is from the Duel Part 2. They showed actual full trailer, which was actually looks pretty cool. I mean, it looks pretty spun out. The Ninth Jedi sequel is called Child of Hope. Ninth Jedi, this Child of Hope still. And then the original new ones, Yoko's Treasure, The Lost Ones, The Bird of Paradise, which is obviously the Bird of Paradise flower, which is interesting. I don't know what that means. The Smuggler.
That one looks fun.
Yeah. Bounty Hunters. And Black. So...
edgy.
Yeah. There's always one with edgy kind of animation style. But, yeah, I mean, they'll be coming out, and they actually released the announcement for the release date of this. October 29th of this year is when Season 3 of Visions comes out. So we're kind of eating well this year. We've got Visions Season 3 still coming out. We've got... there was something else. What else is coming out this year? I can't remember.
Andor next week.
Andor, that's it. Andor's next week. Oh my God. 2 days' time. Yes. It's here. It is here. It's right here. And then they made a surprise announcement. The director of The Ninth Jedi was brought back on stage. And The Ninth Jedi is in fact getting a series, a limited series for The Ninth Jedi. So we're actually getting... I don't know how many episodes specifically, but like a spin-off series that is coming out in 2026 next year. So that'll be kind of interesting to see how that plays out and everything. So with the animation stuff, this is what we've got. We've got Tales of the Underworld. Now, I knew there was another one coming out, and Tales of the Underworld is also later this year too. That's May the 4th. So Tales of the Underworld this year. More Shadow Lord, I think they said was next year. Visions Season 3 is later this year, and then the Ninth Jedi Presents series is also next year as well. So some cool animation coming up in the future, which is cool. And then kind of finishing out, they announced where the next celebration is, and it is here in Los Angeles in 2027, April 1st to the 4th.
When do tickets go on sale?
Probably about a year beforehand. If any of you guys are, yeah,
I don't even know how much. It depends on what I'm doing financially then, but maybe. How much were tickets last time? Were they expensive?
No, they're not crazy. I think it's under $100. I think for the full 4 days. It's for the full 4 days. It might be $120. I can't remember. But it was the
for 4 days. That's nothing. I was thinking it was going to be like a $300 a day thing.
I don't. No. It's nothing that crazy. They don't make it unaffordable, but they do sell out.
I thought it was there was a really pricey. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, it was actually quite reasonable.
I guess it makes sense why everyone we met said they were going.
That's it.
Yeah, I guess they just sell out quickly versus costing a lot.
Yeah, that's the trick.
That's why they're hard to get, because they sell out quickly.
Yeah, you literally have to be there.
Like Comic-Con, they're expensive and they sell out quickly.
It's worldwide, yeah. It's like San Diego Comic-Con. It goes quick.
Yeah. And the cool thing, they don't know. But you can either get individual days, or you get the full 4-day kind of pass. It turns out if you get the individual days, you get 4 separate visual tags. So next time, I actually might get each day, so I get more tags. Yeah, the artwork they did for the Star Wars Japan, I think we showed them a month or two back.
Knowing America, it's gonna be just a Paramount logo.
No, well the thing is, we got the crappy one. I'm not gonna say I say that loosely, but it was kind of a crappy one that they released for Celebration in 2022, and it was like a ship of it was from the Mandalorian, but it was like a really dark shot of his ship flying over the Razor Crest, flying over the top of the smoke-filled planet from the Ahsoka episode, the Jedi, and it's so ugly. It's just like it's not a pretty pass. Anyway, but yeah. So I mean, basically that's it. That was the big announcement. So they only had 3 days here. They will be doing 4 days from the 1st of April to the 4th. So I'm looking forward to trying to get tickets for that. So if any of you are interested, we can try to figure it out and plan it out and all that. Last time I did it with the All New Nerds and my friend Corey from Kesseron Transmissions. We all sat online together and we all went in, and whoever was the first one to actually get linked in line. It just happened to be me, by the way. It was able to put down the tickets and then pay for it, and then reimbursed each other back, kind of thing. So it became a really simple process, but it was like an hour of just like we were so tensely sitting there trying to wait for the little counter.
We've all been there at some point.
Yeah. So you get put on the counter line, then you're told how many people are ahead of you, kind of thing, and it can be very nerve-wracking as to how slow or speed. Yeah. We'll try thousands because we were like 2,000 and whatever and all that. But so that was the celebration. I thought it was really fascinating. It was great, and of course, as we said, Andor Season 2 starts on Tuesday. We're going to be doing reactions to that. And Thursday, Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary comes out. Oh, Hayden Christensen also was there too. That was the other announcement I forgot to mention.
He's going to be in Ahsoka, right?
He's going to be in Ahsoka Season 2.
I was going to text you before the panel, like, what are the odds he just shows up and says he's going to be a cast member?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Totally. Wait. I completely skipped this because I skipped ahead, but then I forgot to go back to it. Hayden Christensen will be returning as Anakin, obviously in The World Between Worlds. Zeb will be returning in Ahsoka Season 2. And this one was a big one. Admiral Akbar will be returning in Ahsoka Season 2, and he'll be going head-to-head with Thrawn. So think about this.
And we already know he will not be in a trap.
Apparently not. but at the same time, Admiral Akbar is going to go ship to ship with Thrawn, apparently. And it suddenly made me think about, it was like, how cool would that be to see Admiral Akbar be front and center of a space battle?
And competent.
Yeah.
It'd be good to see him actually be competent. Like he's an admiral. All we've ever seen him do is like say one line, and it's when they are in danger.
But the thing about it, Thrawn's got his Star Destroyer, so you can have this really cool situation where, you know, Admiral Akbar pops up in his Mon Calamari cruiser, and you got that, and you got the... I don't know. I find it really cool. I'm excited to see how that plays out. There might be losses, but then imagine him making a rebound and coming back again, you know, in the movie that takes place after Ahsoka season 2, that Dave Filoni is also going to be directing. That's like the end of the
I think that's going to be that wasn't even talked about during the slate, though, so that might not even be a thing anymore.
Oh, no, it's a thing. It is, I think, because Lucasfilm are trying to move forward with post Episode 9, they want to tie off the Mando universe for now and not do any stories or do any more stories in this universe.
I know, but I think they might say that the Mando movie is that.
No, it's not. They've officially said they're not doing that. The Mando movie is just a Mando movie. There will be a tie-off to the Thrawn story arc after Ahsoka, and that's what Dave Filoni is actually going to be directing. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Chris, how was Japan, buddy? I'm curious as to your thoughts. Are you still there? I assume you're still there because Celebration just ended yesterday. We were watching everything, Chris, I was watching everything from here. I was up late nights and working during the day, so I'm pretty exhausted the last couple of days. But I took most of it in. There's a lot of cool stuff. What's stuff that you took in? And we're kind of going to end up pretty soon, but yeah, you're still there? That's cool. That's all I kind of had with the celebration. It was quite a big. You missed the celebration ending. That's all I had on celebration. We can talk for a few minutes about what were your thoughts on the Fantastic Four trailer, guys.
You know, I'll read it something controversial.
Yeah. Huh?
It's just something controversial is that if there's no twist on the Galactus plot and it's just them versus the Silver Surfer.
We've seen the situation
with Galactus. We've seen that. It's a situation we've seen 1,000 times, and it's just a redundant version of it. I think the movie will be pretty boring, no matter how good the actors are and how good the directing is.
Okay.
But that's just the only opinion I'm getting so far.
What if the twist is what we've seen is only the first 15 minutes of the movie?
No, I think the twist is going to be that they don't win and that the universe is destroyed, or that they do win and that the incursions take their world anyway.
Yeah. With TARDIS tough for UK Pride. Yeah, that I can imagine that's going to be crazy. Everything's going to be so expensive over the next couple of years. It's going to be ridiculous. I don't even want to know how expensive it is, but yeah. I mean, I think it looks cool though. I mean, visually, yeah, I do feel that trailer showed me what I'm expecting from that film though, and I'm probably going to enjoy it nonetheless. It looks fun. It looks like it could be fun. I like the design of that universe, and I can't wait to get the art of book on that because they're doing a very special, like $150 book on the art of this film. And again, a lot of really expensive books are coming out in my future. I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be expensive. But at the same time, I'm looking forward to seeing this movie. Silver Surfer. She looks cool.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah. Wait, who is it?
Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, Shia LaBeouf. Who is that?
She is... Okay, here's the main thing.
Yep.
In the normal world... I don't know if I'm getting like a movie or not. But this is... In the normal world, in the 616, she's Norn Rad's wife. Okay. Norn Rad is the actual Silver Surfer. and they're doing a twist on it, which has been done in the comics before, which is instead of him becoming the herald of Galactus, his wife does to save him instead of him doing it to save her.
Okay.
There was just a twist on that. Basically, as a visual cue and a big noteworthy thing of this is not the main universe. Something is different. In this world, it's not Mordred.
Okay.
Right.
And they're the only heroes. Yeah, they're the only heroes in this universe. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. And also, guys, what are your thoughts on Daredevil finale?
Good and bad. I think there was some really good stuff in there, but it ended pretty lackluster. I get I get Fisk's army being too big for Matt to take down initially, but there should have been a bigger sub threat besides Muse that he took down halfway through for him to have one bigger victory against Fisk at the end. And I think part of the underwhelmingness was also him saying we need an army and then just showing more cops after the whole show is showing us why these cops shouldn't be trusted. Right. He's like, nah, trust me, I found some good ones. And it's just, we already know that this guy knows superheroes. Okay. He knows people like Iron Fist and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and Spider-Man. Well, he knows, I guess he doesn't know Spider-Man anymore after the blip, or after the spell or whatever.
Yeah.
But, that felt really underwhelming for Matt to go from the Punisher and him kicking ass, him saying, no, I can't do this, and then just showing some cops off, and then just smash cut to the Punisher just losing a fight, getting locked in a cage, and then subsequently breaking out 2 minutes later. All of the ending felt very undercut to me. The first half of the episode was fantastic, but the ending just felt like I get they're setting up the Shadowland mixed with Chip Zdarsky's Devil's Reign storyline.
They could have played it out a little better,
Yes, I think there was a certain elements that could have put in place so Matt doesn't feel like a freaking loser at the end of the episode, even though he kicked so much ass. He saw the bad guys and he went, oof, that's a lot of them. Not today, guys. As much as that makes sense, that's a very underwhelming thing for a Superman to say. You would never see Batman or Spider-Man going, You're right, Karen. There's a lot of them in there. And I've already gotten my ass kicked pretty hard tonight.
Well, he had just been shot. I mean, come on.
No, anyway. I get it. I get that it was realistic. But it's just not something you usually see in a superhero show, especially for the guy who's known as the man without fear. I feel like Daredevil will be the guy who I was ready for him to be like, yeah, I know. We need an army. Karen, you assemble that while I go in there and destroy all these guys.
What did you think, Elijah? What did you think of the finale, Elijah?
Woo! Like a break from. I mean, they did rush ending. Yeah. The last of the wrap up.
Yeah.
But I take it as a wrap up, they're wrapping up the season and they got to throw us in there. They could have been a whole episode. They could have had one other episode of him putting together.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Or leaving these people, but it didn't make much sense to lock the Punisher up and then have him get out right away and not even see him.
It
was all right.
The writing in that last half of the episode for me was the same as pretty much how episode 6, I think it was written. I think it was 6, the one that I had some problems with.
I think this one fell apart much harder. I think the first half of the episode set up all these solid ideas of Matt and Fisk having to work together to take down the task force enough to keep the streets safe.
Yeah.
And it turned into them not doing that whatsoever, them getting attacked head on, and then Fisk saying, well, you take care of the crime stuff, I'm going to go take care of Fisk head on, and them both losing. And it's setting up the idea that Fisk is too big to take down. It's too big for either one of them to take down individually or together in a way, and they need something larger. But I think there was a different way for them to achieve a small victory within that totem while also not having the second half of the episode just them being kind of weird. Because it was weird for Punisher, whose whole thing is tactical accuracy and grittiness and pushing through and never really losing a fight, even when he loses, to just get his ass kicked and handed to him that quickly, like almost like he wanted it to happen.
Yeah. Again, yeah, it had, I would call,
Like
sloppy season finale syndrome. Yeah.
They were like dangled for season 2, but not really even there enough in season 1 for us to be thinking about that in a year.
Yeah. The one big thing that came out of a week ago, just quickly, then we'll probably end up the stream pretty soon. But Aaron Moorhead revealed that the original opening scene for Daredevil Born Again, before the creative overhaul, was Matt was in the outfit, and he pulled off his mask, and then he just looked so unbelievably sad, crying, and then dropped the mask, and that was the whole scene.
That is actually the opening.
That would have been terrible.
Well, that is the opening to Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run. Right. But that only makes sense because the previous run ended with Daredevil accidentally killing a man.
Yeah.
So it was Chip Zdarsky picking up the pieces. So it made sense as a fresh start to be like, we're going to torture the hell out of Matt this run and bring him to hell and back and give him a new mission, which the season was based off of the idea of not only Fisk being mayor, but Matt assembling a team of what ends up being superheroes to take down Fisk. A lot of the elements of the task force, and then Cole North, who I'll talk about in a second, which was another underwhelming aspect of the whole season. But there's a lot of elements that they were teasing about that it was going to be a Zdarsky and Charles Soule and Brian Michael Bendis mashed up season, and we kind of got that still.
Yeah.
But they're gonna. I mean, that was just the intro. There's other stuff they took, like Cole North, though, which was the guy who shot. What's his name at the end? And he's a good guy in the comics who is against dirty cops. So that was the big twist.
I think as an opening, it goes back to what we actually saw, and what we could have had. For me, was the same syndrome that Disney, as I said, have done. Is like they bring a character back from another franchise, from a different ownership, and they try to own a ship by saying, we're going to take a passage of time and pass it, but we're not going to tell you why our character is so miserable and in this situation
till
the end of the season. And that is just pissing me off. I want to feel that depth of emotion, why that character fell.
I mean, they gave it
because
to you.
They gave it to us in this season, and that's what every other Disney need to kind of learn from what Daredevil Born Again did.
It had a lot of good stuff. It wasn't a perfect season, but it had a lot of really good stuff in it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some stuff that I think they introduced elements of, and then like Daredevil's acrobatics swinging through the city would have been more cool. Would have been cooler to see throughout the season instead of just the first episode, and like a few other times. I feel like it was a Matt Murdock season, whereas next episode is going to be next season is going to be a Daredevil season.
Whoop! What just happened? We just lost him. I don't know why we just lost. All right.
I think he talked himself off.
I think he talked himself. He talked himself into oblivion.
He talked himself off. StreamYard was like, "You're out of here. You're talking
That's
too much."
It. Yes. Anyway, Elijah, we get some quiet.
Sometimes Max. Oh, Max.
Yeah. Anyway, being the case, they're shooting season 2. I'm excited to see where that goes. And wait, he's back.
Wrap it up.
I guess the internet told you to. What happened? You just
all right,
lost.
That was a great show. We'll see you next week.
It was so fun.
Bye-bye. Next time.
Anyway, guys, we actually are going to wrap it up there anyway. But I look forward to seeing what season 2's all about. So, and yeah, guys, everybody out in the chat, everyone out in chat, I should say, thanks for joining us. Celebration was a lot of fun. If you get the chance in 2027 and you can get out to Los Angeles, it is really worth going to Star Wars Celebration if you can. Fortunately for us, it's the closest it's ever been. Like last time it was in Anaheim, which is like Orange County, which is the next.
Oh, right. This is LA.
This is LA. Yeah. This is us driving to Jason's place, walking to the train, and catching the train, so we don't have to deal with the traffic and be there in like 5 minutes.
I can walk to the subway station from my place.
Yeah, that's the point.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
actually, yeah, it's probably actually it's better off going to the valley. Either way, it's going to be much easier access for us, and we don't have
We
to
can
go.
still invade Jason's
Well,
space if we want to.
unless you're buying anything, and then I'm in trouble. You know.
I know. I usually
Then you
drive
just
to
go
conventions
and you're like,
fast.
whatever. You go one day. You bring your car one
Sure.
day or park,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
pay the $20 to park, and so you can buy your $100.
Well, it's not that it's actually getting out of the LA Convention Center that I think is. I mean, I've never parked there, so I don't know, but I've seen the traffic coming out of the LA Convention Center on.
Oh yeah, just getting
It
in,
looks
getting in and out.
freaking terrible. Sure. Yeah, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
You could be there for an hour and a half, practically just getting in the parking, out of the parking lot. So I would rather avoid that, but at the same time, it's gonna be cool. I'm definitely gonna try to go. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, we'll talk again soon. Catch you all later.